Hi guys, my name is Meads. This is going to be a review for Vlocker's Nexate Prime. This is made by Volks. I got mine during my trip to SCGMC this past weekend. It's a Gundam mold kit competition. And along there's a couple of vendors, and one of which is Volks. Now, a couple of my friends already mentioned this to me when they went to Anime Expo back in summer. That's around LA, and they were there as well. And this got me intrigued. It's another mold kit line that, yeah, I wouldn't mind trying out. So I finally got my own copy. Here we go. Now this is a mold kit, and as you can see, there's a lot of sprues in there, red and white. And actually, the Vlockers, they already have it's already established. There's a couple of them already released, but they're kind of like the old ones. The Nexate is the new line. But you can check out the web store, and you can see a couple of them. I'll provide the link down below. So for that one, you have like the frame, the basic frame, and you can buy add-ons like a dragon, a phoenix, and you can put it on and then make a different knight or something of that sort. And they have a different weapon set as well. So it's a really cool idea. So for this, I'm gonna do a review on this one. And again, this is a kit that I have to assemble. Quite interesting. This is about $40. They also have weapon sets, and for Nexate, this is the first one they have. You have the Claymore, sword, and axe, and these are ridiculously huge. You have quite a bit of assembly required. Now this is a little different from what we normally see on kits. Usually they're in like a box. This one, it comes just in a plastic bag. Same thing with this one. You get a plastic cover for this, which is kind of interesting. It's a little different. And also Volks also carries resin kits. And again, I'll provide those links down below. It's something new, and like for myself, I like trying out new things. Anyways, that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this and continue with the review. Alright, so we have the booklet inside. I wish I could tell what they're talking about. There's probably something about articulation and build things, whatnot. So here's the front. Here's the back side. Kind of gives us an idea what he can do in terms of articulation, even the napping pose. The first thing we'll do is we got to build the inner frame. So just looking at this, there's a lot of parts. Some of the parts are not labeled, like this Y shape here or this W shaped one here, but you can kind of tell just based on the runners and how they're shaped. Yeah, but yeah, they're fairly straightforward. You just gotta put things together. Now, some of the pegs are quite tight to put together, and that's when you kind of have to trim off the edges of the peg. I wish it was a little bit tapered off at the end, but it wasn't. Same thing with the peg hole. Sometimes you might want to rim it out with a hobby knife. Just gotta make it a little bit bigger. So I did have a little bit of difficulties, but for the most part, yeah, you just gotta put a little bit more effort trying to put things together. Also, this D is like the smallest peg. Sometimes it's a bit loose. I had a problem, especially this ankle part here. I actually just swapped it out with a B, just making it longer, and it helped out, especially later on when you put on the armor. Otherwise, there's nothing really holding that ankle joint there. So there are extra pieces, which is great. And yeah, just in case they break or something, you can just swap it out. And so far, I have no issues of them cracking or breaking. There's a bit of stress marks, especially on the weapon set, but yeah, so far it's good. Alright, so otherwise, looking inside here, we have the right arm here, which you put on the armor, the white stuff. It goes into this inner frame. That's the shoulder. Then you have the hand, and you have the right leg here. There we go. And you have the body. Now the body is quite interesting. Some parts of it is actually pre-painted, like the V-fin here. Some parts, like this part here, was colored red already for us, so it's in like a separate plastic bag. But this part here, and this part are the same. This one's kind of like inverted, but it makes the chest. And sometimes getting that peg and all squished together on that main or the inner frame for that body takes a little, yeah, it took me a little while. Just try to get it pushed together because yeah, there's a lot of peg, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you just gotta be patient and try to put everything together. Yeah. But otherwise, it's not too bad of a build. It's definitely quite different because yeah, like especially that. Well, I'll show you once I have the kit out. But that's pretty much it. I just want to show this instruction booklet. You know, sometimes it's interesting for someone like myself who build a lot of kits and collect a lot of figures. I really don't know what to use for size comparison. But here we go. In terms of kits, we have the Claymore Girl Modular and the real grade Exia. Can I give you an idea how big this guy is? He's quite big. I would say he's close to the master grade, or even a little bit taller than that. In terms of size, we're looking at about 7 and I would say 3/4 inch, 7 3/4. Metric wise, we have about 19.5 centimeters around there. So it's a fairly tall kit. Yeah, quite nice. Right, so let's take a closer look at this guy here. So in the pamphlet, we've seen the eyes light up. Obviously, there's no light up feature here. But someone could easily mod that, maybe stick a bit of a LED in there somewhere. I think we have maybe a bit of space there somewhere. So here we go. It's a little odd because of this, like the Y shape that I mentioned. There is a little bit of gaps. Just the way they made it, it's kind of interesting. Even the backside here, like only one side, because how it's angled towards the end. But we can definitely see the inner frame there. Yeah, very interesting. All right, so it's quite cool. Now look, going for articulation, there's really not much on the neck. It's kind of hard actually, and trying to get this to move. It's sometimes you just end up popping off the neck here, as I did. It does not lock properly. It's basically a peg, like this one here. Yeah, it's open on one side, so there is a tendency for it to pop out. You know, that's what I'm trying to get into. But for the neck here, there is a peg joint down there, but it's really too hard to move because of how the neck is. You might want to kind of just pull it out a little bit. That way you get a little bit more slack on the neck. There we go. You can look down. Well, not really look up. So that's kind of like the limitations on that. Now for the torso, there's no articulation because of just how this thing is. Yeah, it's solid there. And even on the waist, there is no articulation. So this torso here, you can kind of just rock it back and forth on the waistline, but not really turn this way. Yeah, unfortunately. But for the shoulder here, you got this contraption. Let me just remove this again. So you have a peg joint going on the back, which gives you articulation to go up. And this peg connector for the armor, you can just move to the side. Then you could also move forward like this. Unfortunately, you cannot really move back because of it hits there. So that's kind of like the range of articulation. Now you also have a swivel right there on top. There's also a swivel point here, but I think once I put this peg here, it kind of got stuck. So there's not really much swivel point there, but you can move this kind of like the shoulder armor here, the bicep armor. You can move that around. That's just connected to this one of the K, I believe, connectors. Yep, and that's just peg in there. Alright. Then you have your wrist joint, which you can rotate. Then you have your hand here. There's also a peg there that you can move. The hand for this guy is just this. It's a closed fist. You can put a weapon there. That's it. There's no open hand. You actually get 2 pairs of that. I think what they've done is they just use the same runner and just kind of build up on that. So some of them are kind of like duplicates, which is not too bad. So yeah, you can do a lot of cool poses with this. Oops. And did I mention the double jointed elbow? Yep. It's actually a fairly good bend there. And I think there was one pose where he's kind of like bowing down. So you can definitely do that because of being able to put the shoulder forward. You know. There we go. So it's a little bit tricky moving that shoulder, but yeah, you just gotta work with it. Anyways, that's that. Moving down to the waist area, you can move this up. Again, same joint system. Not really so much for back because it hits where it connects. It's just mostly forward. Not so much for outward also, but you can go this way, but just not there. You cannot move outward this way, but you can move outward this. So there we go. You can remove this connection here. I believe you just peg in somewhere in there. Again, one of those tough joint. So just pegged in there, and you gotta see more of the inner workings. I guess you get a little bit of a tie swivel there. Let's put this back. Where is this? Okay, it pegs in right there. There we go. Now for the knee, I think you only have one joint right there. It kind of opens up. It's a bit odd from what I've seen on other figures when they do their knee, because there's more of the lower leg than the top part. Yeah, it's not too bad, but you know, definitely on the side it's not too bad, but in the front you can kind of see the inside. It's kind of hollow. Yeah. So that's pretty much for the bend. Then you got some parts here. It's kind of interesting how they did this part. You can actually kind of open this. Yeah, it's a little weird. And I probably dislodged the connection inside, but yeah. I think it's just a fix. I don't think there's supposed to be an articulation there. Then you have your ankle. As I mentioned before, I used the longer peg here. I think it might have been B. This kind of gives me a little bit more traction, or otherwise it will just pop off like what is happening on the upper areas. So there we go. Then you got the swivel there. You also have a little swivel here on the heel. And this part's here, the ones with the metallic, or sorry, not metallic, just the bright red, as well as the chest here and the visor. Those are pre-painted for us. And yeah, it's a little different from the color from the inner frame. And I believe this part is, yeah, there's a peg right there. So basically you have just the ankle joint there. I don't think, yeah, there's no like toe articulation. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for articulation. It's a bit limited, but you can definitely do some cool poses. You just gotta have to work with it. Yeah, reminds me of Revoltech. There we go. I do like the design. I like the concept, but definitely it would be nice if we can work around with that joints, or just kind of improve on that. But maybe they will do in the future releases, or maybe they'll incorporate something new. Yeah. And also, there is a lot of parts, like a lot. As you can see here, we have more of the bigger ones. So if ever some of the parts gets worn out, you have a lot of replacement parts. And you see got some of the white parts here, like for the inner part of the. Possibly we can use this to make more armor. Some extra V-pin right there. This is the K. That's what I'm referring to. Just a lot more connectors that we can use for future. I've made something. So this I just chained a couple of those W and Y shape reds and kind of make like a makeshift wing or cape. I'm just gonna attach it here. There we go. It's kind of silly, but I kind of like it. You know, just having something on the back. And also, I can loop this around. Kind of make like a circular kind of thing. I definitely need another connector here. And yeah, it does kind of tend to pop off easily, but kind of make a circular part here. Just bear with me. I think that's as close as I can get it to being circular. There we go. Oh, it totally does that. Alright, so here we go. I think it would have been definitely be better if it was a different color. I think the Japanese website for Volks, they've shown the different color variants they're coming out with the Prime. I think definitely it would have been better if it's kind of like green, yellow, or even orange for that circular part. Well, if I make that in the future. But yeah, there's a lot that you can do. And especially with that shape, I think I could even make a giant claw or something, or a giant hand that I can attach to him or something like that. Yeah, definitely there's a lot of things we could do, and it's really cool. I like the concept. And in some ways this kind of reminds me of Bionicle. But you have to build it. So anyways, that's the part for the Nexate Prime. Now let's go over the weapon that you've also introduced. Alright, so next up we have the weapons. We have the Claymore Sword and Axe, or CSA. And this is still part of the Nexate line. There is a previous line which I mentioned before. We have the Architect and different armor sets. I'm not sure if it works with the Nexate line. Probably does. But for this one, just a heads up, they're using a 4mm diameter peg connections here for the most part. It is slightly bigger than what we used to with the 3mm with the Bandai and Kotobukiya. So some certain things doesn't match up well unless we have an adapter. So on this one, we have the Claymore Sword and Axe, and you can actually extend them. As you can see here, you can extend the blade. Really cool. And I think this one, just trying to see what happened here, they probably extended the reach of the axe. And you can do mix and match. Get a different sword here. You can hollow out that, shorten the axe. You can even make a rifle out of that, and just some more other things. It's really cool. Unfortunately, well, I'll show you in a bit, but to do this one, you gotta remove parts from the sword, because this part here is, yeah, it's a certain part of the sword, so you can only have one or the other. Yeah, unfortunately. And here's the assembly inside. There's no letters or anything of that sort, but the parts are very distinct. Yeah, you just can't you can't go wrong. There's only one shape that looks like that, so there we go. Fairly straightforward. So this is the basic, the Claymore Sword and Axe. If you want to try to do the other ones, you can have to just kind of figure it out. This is actually a little hard, but if you look closely, this is part of the axe here. Or maybe this one will show more, but that's part of the axe there. Then you have the one of the swivel handles and the part of the sword, and among other things. Alright, so anyways, that's pretty much it for the instruction. It's actually quite interesting. When I was at the booth of the Volks, I saw the Nexate Prime wielding this. It is a huge sword. And grabbing my ruler here. This is 11 3/4, almost a foot long sword. And it's about 29.3, I guess, in length. 29.3 centimeters. Quite a long sword. Or sorry, the Claymore. It's crazy. Now, like I mentioned before, with the peg holes and just the pegs, I've actually caused a little bit of stress mark there, and you can kind of see where the stress marks are, you know, from those parts. So be careful, and definitely would help if you kind of trim off the edges. See, there's another stress mark there of the pegs. Now, yeah, it's just ridiculous. The handles here, you can actually take this out here. And so far, I don't see any stress there for the handle, which is a good thing. So it's fairly durable, you know, aside for the thin parts here. But you can have him holding this, and maybe there's a lot of peg connectors. Again, you got those just those cylinder pegs that you can use. But definitely, he can only hold this, not this handle here, but maybe for other figures. So if we want to use this, I'll probably take this off for now. You can just go like this. A giant, and yeah, we probably can definitely put another handle here to make it more natural. Well, that's not natural, this giant sword. But you can definitely have him hold it like this. Ridiculous. It's so awesome. And yeah, there's just a lot of cool poses we can do with this. Probably have him just resting like this. Yeah, really nice. Now, along with that, we have the axe here. And we can definitely take this out and just put the handle here, just make it shorter. So a lot of it's very modular. You can do a lot of cool things with this. And you have the sword right here. Quite nice. And you actually get the extra parts here. Now I'll probably just kind of have him build this side here, because this is just too big for him. There we go. I think that's a lot better. Like a machete. Alright, so I'm just going to demonstrate extending this, and I would say it's probably a little tough, and I'm not sure if it's going to work well with this review, but I just want to show that. Alright, to do that, we're going to start popping these joints out. So some parts of here, we kind of have a little bit of indentation that allows us to dig our nails in, and definitely will help if you have long nails for this. I think at one point I was just deciding maybe I'll just buy 4mm magnets. That way I don't struggle pegging them in. But likewise, I'm not sure how well that will hold. And adding magnets, it'll just make this whole sword more heavier than it already is. So I'm just going through the edges here, trying to pop off the pegs. And you just gotta be careful you don't break them. I've already kind of trimmed off the edges of this, kind of make it more tapered. I've rimmed through here. I would say be careful when you're rimming peg holes. I broke my ceramic knife, and I think even a regular hobby knife, just the amount of stress you're putting on as you go through here, be careful. Yeah, just take extra caution. Alright, so again here. But yeah, definitely you gotta make those pegs a little smaller. Not the easiest thing to do. There we go. Alright, so for my understanding, we're just kinda moving this up here. I think possibly this way. I think the best way is just keep going and remove the other parts. And you kind of have to use the guide, you know, and tell you how far are you extending. So we see there's an extra peg there. So I'm moving a little bit further than that. So it's still the same sword. You're using all the parts from the sword. Sorry, I keep saying sword. Claymore. And you're just kind of extending it. Yeah. Alright, so I'm having a little difficulty pegging this out. Let me just do that off camera. Alright, so this is basically the extended version. So before, it was all the way here. Now we're just going to push it down here. And just connect all of this. A lot of pegs. I think it'll definitely be better if I use magnets. I like using magnets, but yeah, you just kind of have to snap them in place. Sometimes they do work well, but just look at that. Then you kind of have to pry them out again, just trying to get that right angle. I've already stressed that in there, trying to push that in. Yeah, I like the idea, but the peg connection could definitely have been a little bit better. Anyways, I'm gonna struggle through this. Anyways, here we go. Yeah, definitely helps a lot if you cut the pegs more. Yeah, it just makes it a lot easier to do this kind of thing. Let me just show what I did. Maybe I'll help someone struggling the same way I'm doing this. So basically what I did, grab your nippers, and I would say just cut a significant, well, not quite. Alright, so this is what I did. I've been just cutting off the edges of the peg here. So what I would do, I'm using just your nippers here. And I would say put the top like somewhere close to that edge of the hole. And just cut. Kind of hard to say what, maybe 15 degrees. I'm just cutting off the edge there. Same thing on the other side here. Just kind of tapering it off. If you want, you just cut through half. That might have helped, but I'm just chipping off the edge. You don't want to take too much, otherwise the friction, or you maybe have less friction. But this will definitely help, hopefully. There we go. So I'm cutting them just on one side, I mean both sides. I mean, I could cut it from this and this side also for 4 corners, but I think that's fairly good enough. Or we're just gonna attach it here. There we go. Alright, so and just I thought it will work. There we go. Alright, anyways, that's pretty much the extended version of the sword. More than likely I'll just keep one version. Either way, it looks great, even the extended or the closed one. But definitely, this is awesome. Now, this is the extended version, just measuring here. Whoops, hit my lamp there. It's about 12, it's about, I would say 13.5 inches long. And about It's lost track here. About roughly about 33 centimeters in length with the extended version. I mean, you can even extend this portion here. You know, we could just take this out. I can get that handle out. Connect this part here. There we go. Now it's a really long Claymore. And even we can probably make a sight here somehow. Yeah, I mean, we got this extra blades here and there. Yeah, very cool. Also, I was thinking maybe this could work for other figures out there, since it's a huge weapon. And luckily, this works well for 6 Vision Bonehead. So basically, 1/6 scale figures that have a flexible hand grip, like him. And yeah, definitely cool to have that. I even use the sword here. Swap this out. There we go. Yep. Or even dual wield just 2 axes. So on this kit, you can make a 2 axes. I was also wondering if I can combine them to make like this or some sort. Unfortunately, you don't have enough of these things here to put on one side. I mean, or for another axe. But maybe you can put the one side to here, so that way it will close together. But you can definitely make 2 of these, which are nice. And I think that's pretty much it. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for the review. And again, to kind of sum it up, building this does take a little bit of time and patience. May have to kind of work around with the joint system. It's a bit, well, a little troublesome on some spots, but overall, I think it's workable. Now, there's a lot of possibilities on this one, as well as room for improvement. I cannot wait to see those, and especially the different option. The kit is very modular. There's a lot of things we can do with this, and you know, especially the weapon sets. I like how they transform, and yeah, so definitely something to try out. Again, I'll provide the link down below for Volks USA. And I believe they do go to different conventions, usually the big ones. You'll see Volks, and they'll probably bring the kits with them. And it's not too bad in terms of pricing. The Nexate Prime itself is about 40 bucks. The weapon sets, it's 36. It's a little bit more, but you're getting a lot. You're technically getting like 4 big ones. I have the two axes, the Claymore and the sword. And with that, you can make a lot more, just in terms of different configurations. Anyways, that's about it for this review. Hope you guys like it. If you have questions, I'll try my best to answer those for you. Anyways, that's it. So until then, this is Meads. Thanks for watching.